unverifiable voting in 2000.
Like you said to Trump, but they're getting beauty.
He said, go out there and rob these houses and bring back the bounty, and then that'll pay your way.
Because Republicans who get endorsement from Georgia carry that they mean anything.
You can't sit on the sidelines any longer. You must get involved in the game. This is your sign. All right, good evening, everybody. Welcome to the Wednesday Night Live. Dropping it on all social media tomorrow. Just do not have enough time in the day to get all this stuff dropped. So, as we promised tonight, I am back with Alex Johnson from the Georgia Republican Assembly. Back by popular demand, I might add. We did a show on the district convention and all things needed to know. And so now we're doing our part two, which is the state GOP, everything that we need to know, by none other than Mr. Johnson, who's got a plethora of experience at all of these things. As you recall, he's ran for multiple positions. He now is over the GRA, doing a fantastic job, I might add. I was able to be a part of the GRA convention, the endorsement convention, and it was an amazing experience, especially for my first time being with the GRA, actually participating in something. And as we travel down this road to get to our state GOP convention. So I want to welcome you. Welcome to the show, Alex. How are you, sir?
Doing great. Thanks for having me on. I'm glad to be back.
Yes, sir. It's always a pleasure. And before we kind of just jump into the meat and potatoes of things, you get focused. And this time, I might add, I will be able to clip this episode, so we'll get some highlighted stuff coming through here. I'm probably be taking notes as we go through this. But I just wanted to touch on a couple of things and get your take on it. The first thing is I sent you I sent you a resolution that from Denise Sorkness, and I told her that I would ask you about it tonight. Apparently, she has been working on this for a long time, and we're going to be doing a show sometime after the convention to really lay out her plight with basically I believe it's the Board of Regents. And she asked me if I could talk to you just a little bit about it tonight, and I've sent you the information. So do you have anything that you'd like to say first off?
Well, I just like to say that I appreciate what Denise and all people are doing to try to get politicians to act better and create accountability. If I read the right part of what you sent over, because I'm used to resolutions being about 1 page and about 250 words, so they comply with the state guidelines for submission. But if I'm reading the right ones, it looks like it's demanding fiscal accountability for the Board of Regents. And if that's what I am reading and it's correct, I mean, to me personally, that seems like a great idea. I mean, it is always good to have accountability of government, especially if there's a black hole of the Board of Regents in the college system that isn't being accountable to the people. So I personally think that's absolutely awesome.
Absolutely. She did a show on War Room a while back, and we've been communicating for quite some time, but I just want to let Denise know that we're going to be highlighting this over the summer so that we can continue to bang the war drums as we look at multiple ways that we can highlight what we need. I mean, we're in the state of Doge all over the place. Our state Doge, on the federal level. So obviously we want to get things right and we want to learn. So I promised Denise that we're going to cover it in an entire show, and then we're all going to get very acquainted with the resolutions moving forward. So thank you for that, Alex.
And I hope that she and others have, if they want a resolution considered by the state convention, they submit it as soon as possible. I know that the deadline that was in the call, which I believe may have been binding, was back, I think, on May 8th. But there has been another deadline put out by the state GOP and one of their sheets available on the state website that's apparently May 28th.
Okay.
I think at 5 p.m. So if people still have resolutions, you might as well try to submit them by then, because I believe the resolutions committee is still accepting them due to the publication discrepancy. So
okay,
make sure you get in.
I think that she has submitted it again, and but we'll definitely check on that. But absolutely, and that's some need to know information too. I gotta get my paper here while I take notes. So the other thing that I want to cover, just briefly, obviously, this is a very contentious cycle we're going through to state convention. If you'd asked me 2 months ago if I thought it would be like it is now, I would have said absolutely not. But here we are, and I just want to just pick your brain a second. I'm not going to call out anybody in particular, but here recently, a lot of the grassroots have been called quote unquote crazies and trying to some people are saying that they're just trying to burn things down, and there's some people that are accusing the GRA. I've heard from multiple sources, even the legislators, they can't stand the GRA, and I'm having a hard time understanding that, because especially what I've seen and been involved with the GRA as a member of the last couple of years, right? No organization is perfect, but I'd just like to ask your opinion on that. Why do you think that this is going on? Why are we being called crazies? Why is the GRA being looked at in this negative light?
Well, because the establishment supporters of one of the chair candidates, I think, are very much committed to dividing the grassroots into the future. Like, they think beyond just this election. They're thinking ahead past the state convention. I mean, it's pretty obvious what their plan is. They're trying to call GRA members and anti-establishment people crazy. And then when their candidate wins, they'll say, oh, look, we defeated the GRA, which isn't true, because we did not endorse anyone in the chair race. But then if their candidate loses and there's any bad effects, or they'll invent bad effects, they'll say, oh, that's the fault of the GRA. But that's not for any reason other than, one, undermining the credibility of the GRA, and two, making it so that the anti-establishment people who support their candidate then turn around and are divided from the rest of the anti-establishment people that support the other candidate. I mean, it's a tactic that is very old. It's transparent to people who've been around a while, but they're doing it because they recognize it works. I mean, the establishment has been defeated the last 2 or 3 convention cycles. They've lost district chairmanships. They've lost seats on the state committee. I mean, the establishment is just losing. So their only hope is to make new friends. And that's the way they're trying to do it. They're dividing very good people that are supporting all the candidates for chair against each other.
Right.
And that's why I think that is occurring. That is why they're pushing out that messaging and making it very awkward for GRA members to stand up against it because they're afraid of looking disloyal to their preferred candidates. I mean, the GRA did not endorse in the chairman's race because the membership did not, 2/3 of the members that were at the convention did not vote to endorse in that race. Didn't endorse in the first vice chair race either. They endorsed Lori McLean for treasurer, Noreen Cantor for second vice chair, Kylie Kramer for assistant secretary, James Dvorak for under 80 chair, and I think unanimously, almost unanimously endorsed him, and then I think unanimously endorsed Joanna Hildreth for under 80,000 chairs. So to the extent that the establishment's sitting around trying to divide people, I mean, I could tell you that supporters of all chairman candidates back Joanna Hildreth. A lot of them from both back James Dvorak. I mean, that's the whole point. Is it's not like there's not unification on anti-establishment people. It's just that there's some toxic establishment people that are attacking the GRA because we are a threat to them. And a lot of the politicians do the same thing. They really do not like the GRA, and they assume every bad thing that happens to them is because of us. And I just say to them, look at the GRA and listen to the people. I mean, we're a member-run organization. Like, if you don't like what people are saying, maybe you should listen to them.
You know, it's funny you mention that because, there's a lot of talk in the background about how much the establishment, how much the politics do not like somebody like Senator Colton Moore coming in and voting against everything. They do not like the GRA for listening to the people. They don't like the Freedom Caucus for blocking a lot of these bills and calling it out constitutionally. I mean, we have a real problem here if our whole state of affairs is set up to where we can't allow that stuff in, or we're always making it a negative connotation. I mean, it just amazes me. The more you learn about politics, the more crazy it is. Like, this stuff was not designed for just normal people like me to be just coming up in. That's how I see it. But
yeah, I mean, it's very off-putting to a lot of people because it is so weird. I mean, you walk in and then all of a sudden you have people intentionally trying to divide you against other people who likely share your principles, and it's very off-putting. The GRA tries to bring people together. We're about getting more people involved. We're about unifying people who actually believe in common sense Republican principles like being pro-life, being pro-gun, being lower taxes. I mean, being in favor of local government. Like, these things are basic Republican principles, and I think that they do not want people like us to be involved or unified. I mean, we are the unity that's needed to keep the state red, and these establishment people don't want any of us involved.
I couldn't agree with you more, man. And I hope they understand that not only are we not going away, but every day we learn more and more about the system, and we're gonna be a force to be reckoned with. That's all I can tell. So,
and that's when you need to make sure to join the GRA. I mean, that's the important thing. Like, it is. Some people have the mistaken impression that one person can just get involved, run for party office, and they'll fix everything. I mean, look up Russ Millett from Alaska back in, I think, 2013. I mean, he made it to be elected state chair, and then they immediately removed him because you can't just do it yourself. Like, the system will reject you unless you have a system backing you. The advantage of the GRA is we are member run. Our endorsements come from our members. Who I prefer doesn't matter. What matters is the people. We are here to serve the people. So if you're newly involved and you believe in basic Republican principles, join us, get tied into the network, and let's make a difference.
Sure. And if anybody needs any more information, they can contact me. They can contact Alex. We can show you where to go because, like I said, I'm all about Freedom Caucus. I'm all about John Birch. I'm all about GRA people that are moving this needle forward in the right direction. So, all right. Well, everything looks good. We're actually dropping frames right now, but no big deal. We're recording this. If we should drop out, nobody freak out. We will have this recorded. So what we're going to do is kind of shift gears, and we're going to go into the state convention. And we want you to kind of walk us through it a little bit, kind of get, and as you're going through, I'm going to write down some notes and stuff because what our main goal is to educate people on exactly what we're going into and what to look for. Okay.
All right. Well, I guess we should actually probably start. So it's tied to the state convention, so I'll make sure people know about it. So
Okay.
the Thursday, the day before the first day of the state convention officially, there's a state committee meeting.
Okay.
That's where the people that you elected at district conventions, and that's including the district chair and the state committee members, they meet to make decisions for the party on the Thursday. I believe the meeting's scheduled for either, I forget if it's 3 o'clock or 5 o'clock, but if you're a state committee member, you need to be there. If you're not a state committee member, then you don't need to worry about it.
Gotcha.
But they can pass resolutions, potentially bylaw changes. Historically, they've oftentimes that meeting, you often do nothing. A few years back, it actually was deciding the Fulton County appeal when there were tiddlywinks and apparent voter fraud in a Fulton GOP election, and there was appeals of that, and then it was decided there. But oftentimes, you just have a meeting to get updates, and then that's it.
Is that
Thursday?
Is that going to, when you talk about resolutions, are they actually are they working on the agenda for the committee or for the convention that day and the resolutions that are going to move forward? Is that what that is?
No, different set of resolutions. The state committee can pass any resolution they want at any meeting they want. So they could pass resolutions at that time, just like the executive committee passed the resolution sometime in the past year prohibiting Jeff Duncan from being on the ballot. The guy who endorsed Kamala Harris, the obvious rhino. They threw him off the ballot. And that was just the executive committee voting.
Okay.
So, those groups can act and do just about anything the convention can do during those meetings.
Well, how does the agenda get set for the convention? The reason I'm asking, of course, obviously there's a lot of people that want to use paper ballots, right, for a convention, and that's not something that they're used to doing. They've done clickers in the past, standing votes, that kind of thing. But I think we're trying. I personally am trying to keep with the same rhythm we've been doing, where we're supporting Donald Trump's executive orders. Right, we're sending a huge message. So how would that? Is that something that would be done on the convention floor, or could they do that before convention?
So the convention always decides what goes on at the convention through a convention vote. Now, the state GOP can, for example, if you want clickers and they haven't bought clickers, you're not getting clickers. So there is some amount of expenditure and planning that has to happen ahead of time, or there might be a long delay or issues at the convention. So the state committee could vote in order to at least provide provisions. That's what we did at the GRA convention, is we provided provisions for paper ballots, and we provided a provision for potential absentee voting, which that was ultimately rejected by the GRA convention doing the absentee voting.
Right.
Paper ballots were adopted, but that was up to the convention, and everyone knew that ahead of time. The provisions you make ahead of time may or may not be adopted. But for the state GOP convention, what will likely happen is the GOP will have plans in place for how they're thinking voting should go. In the convention rules, that will have provisions talking about voting method. The state convention rules committee should be looking at that ahead of time. I was on that committee last year and did see it, and we made amendments to it on the Friday before, like the Friday of the convention. We looked at it, made amendments, and it was published that day. So that is where that happens historically. Sometimes the proposed rules don't necessarily come out of that committee. I would expect that they come out of that committee this year. I am on that convention committee. So if I see them and know what the final version is, I would make sure people know about it as soon as I do. But it's that is where that proposal comes out from, and then the convention delegates can vote to amend it, strike parts of it, change it, whatever you want to do with it. Any convention rules that restrict the rights of delegates that would be in Roberts that would normally take a 2/3 vote. It takes a 2/3 vote to adopt those convention rules. They are debatable. So when that comes up, if you have strong opinions on it, make sure to get to a microphone as quickly as possible. If you have opinions on the convention rules or the proposed agenda, when that gets brought up or before it gets brought up, be at a microphone and be ready to be recognized and move to either amend it or discuss it and say why you think it should or should not be adopted. That's the agenda, which sets the order of business, or the proposed convention rules, which restrict the rights of delegates, including voting method. They sort of set the way that will be conducted.
Okay, gotcha. Yeah, that's good. That's very good knowledge to know. So we'll be definitely looking at that.
And it comes right after the credentials report. So you have to be in that room after the credentials report, because once that comes out, all of that will move quickly. Gotcha.
Okay. Now, so a couple things I learned from the GRA convention, and lots of people have told me this, but it didn't occur to me, but bring food. I think it's important to have snacks and food because, especially this year, you're going to be there for a long time. So,
yeah, you should. And this is something I've given as advice ever since 2013. And it's because I saw the convention in 2011, and also because I had heard from others, you don't know how long they will go. There are nefarious people that may think, for whatever reason, that by dragging out a convention longer, it helps one side or the other. I think that's generally a pretty dumb idea, because at this point, everyone is being told or knows that it could go late. Mm-hmm. So to me, that is a bad strategy to try to drag it out, because the establishment people all know, because they've been involved for years, and all the anti-establishment people know, because we tell everyone in the GRA, and I'm telling everyone right now, bring snacks. Yeah. Like, you do not assume the convention is going to go till like 8 p.m. If it doesn't, congratulations, everything's fine. But if it does, you'll be very glad to have food, drink, not have any other plans to get to. I mean, plan to be there all day. I mean, plan to be at the convention site until Sunday. Just plan on it. I mean, I think there's an event after the Saturday convention, so just plan to go to it. Plan to hang out with your favorite Republicans from around the state.
Absolutely. So, yes. So I know that on Friday, and we can talk just a little bit about Friday. Friday, there's going to be several functions. I think there's a dinner. I think Garland Favorito's got something planned for the election integrity. So that all is just, you can just come to those if you purchase a ticket, right? But the main thing is you've got to be in line on Saturday. Is it before 9:30, I believe?
So the cutoff is normally 10 o'clock.
Okay.
On Saturday. But here's the thing. You can register on Friday. Like, what you're after is getting your credentials. Once you check in at the convention site, you have your credentials, you're a delegate, you can participate.
Okay.
Now, normally business is not conducted on Friday.
Gotcha.
I would hope that would continue to be the case. I have always heard of ways and procedures where it might be or could be. So it may behoove people to make sure to show up on Friday and go to the convention as much time as possible, just to see what is going on, to make sure whether or not any business is or would be conducted.
Okay.
Because technically I think there might be ways to do it. But the point is, once you have the credentials, you don't have to worry about what time you're anywhere, as long as you're there for what you want to participate in. But the dead set deadline, you need to be in line by 10 o'clock on Saturday to get your credentials. If you are late by a second, they are you are not going to get to participate as a delegate. Like
Okay.
10 o'clock is the cutoff. It's in the call. Just be there. Get your credentials on Friday if you can. State committee
Gotcha.
members, I think, can get them on Thursday.
Gotcha.
But definitely get them as soon as you can. You do not want to be late. Like if you need to run out for something, fine. But
See, that's
after you get your credentials.
That's good to know because I actually have to work Friday, but I'm planning on going over there Friday evening. So, yes, I can register there or pre-register, whatever, show up. And once you're there on Friday, you're good as long as you register there. Yeah, wonderful. Okay.
Yeah, and then of course there are
Because I actually have to work Friday, but I'm planning on going over there Friday evening. So, register, whatever, show up. And once you're there on Friday, you're good as long as you register. Okay.
yeah, and then of course there are critical. They're the most conservative person ever, even though their voting record is horrible. You don't necessarily need to listen to them talk. On Saturday morning, while there's that thing's prepared, they may end up announcing it, and then you're right off to agenda and convention rules, and those are the most critical votes that you take. The whole convention is
Yes.
convention rules and agenda, just like we talked about before with the district conventions.
And those should be prepared on Friday, right? Where people can pick up copies and they can start looking at them and studying.
That is we had the convention rules distributed through email Friday last year.
Okay.
That does not that was early. Okay. I don't know if I remember convention rules ever being distributed widely until you saw them the day of, previous to that. So to be clear, you may just need to find the proposed convention rules on Saturday. I mean, hopefully they'll get them further in advance.
I got you.
Same thing with a proposed agenda. That's oftentimes if they're giving out a goodie bag, there may be an agenda in that. Make sure to look through the stuff in the bag you get when you check in.
Got you. Yeah, I believe that's what I'm finding is the most important thing is to get your hands on that as early as you can. See, especially if there's something like you want to propose paper ballots, you need to know when and where you can do that. And obviously you want to know exactly how this is going to go. So, okay, good deal. I have not seen Dalton yet. I hear that it is going to be much more accommodating than the past couple of convention cycles where the building layout of itself. So I'm hoping that I get to see pictures or video of it tomorrow evening. So basically, we're going to just kind of lay us out on the Saturday morning. You have registered, you've got your credentials, and you're headed into the door. So just kind of walk it through us with. We're going to just kind of you have registered, you've got,
So at that point, it's broken down by county. You have the exact number of seats in your county in the delegate area as the number of delegates you have. So you will find your delegate area. Either you will see a sign for your county or you will see a legend on the wall with like a letter equaling your county or a number of different counties. You'll want to find that. Like if you're from Fulton County, you'll look at the list. You'll see what area your county is in. It may be, section A or section E. You'll go to that section. Then typically, historically, you look for chairs with your county name written on the back of them or with a piece of paper with your county name on them. So if you're looking for Fulton County, you'll go to your section. You'll look for the Fulton County seats. You'll sit in a Fulton County seat. You'll learn after a few conventions that, you don't have to just sit there the whole time. You can get up, go outside, grab some food, talk to people, go back in. You can do all that. But you do need to, if it's your first time, you may want to just sit there as much as possible. The reason why is you'll want to see the way things go. The second reason is if they do something weird where they try to do an early credentials report or they might try doing one on Friday or something, you being in there allows you to go to a microphone, speak, move to amend, vote. Like when you're in the room, you have power. When you're not in the room, anything can happen. Right. So you just need to be aware of that. You may want to just, one thing you can do that's a good middle ground is if you know people from other counties or want to meet people with GRA name badges from other counties, you can walk around the convention floor and meet new people.
Nice. Okay. And I had another question while you were talking. I'm just kind of envisioning all this in my head, as way I see it. Oh, yes. So a lot of people have asked me where would they sit. I've always heard that a lot of districts, the further up toward the stage you are, depends on how that you've turned your paperwork in, I guess. How is that how this works, or how do they determine the seating?
That is so I do not know the exact way they do it. The two theories I have heard, and there are two, and it could be a combination of them. One of them is how early you turn in your paperwork correctly, of course,
right?
Correct paperwork. The other theory I've heard is that actually I've heard three. The second one is it rotates, like it just rotates every year. So some are further away and closer depending on the year. The other I've heard is it depends, how much in favor you are with the convention planners. So those are the three theories I have heard. I do know oftentimes the chairman's county, and that's a tradition I've heard, is the chairman's county oftentimes gets close up primary seating regardless.
Okay.
Just as a courtesy to the to the fact that the chairman is from a certain county.
Mm-hmm.
So those are the multiple theories that I have heard. I have never confirmed any one or more of them, and I take no position on how good any of those are or are
right.
not.
Well,
they're just the way it's worked since I've been involved in 2009, and those are the things I've heard at various times.
I've heard positively about it, that it wasn't the fact that it was a pre-planned thing, the Columbus Convention, but the way the room looked, it was dark lit, very rectangular shape, that they were trying to get away from that. They're trying to make it more open for everybody. So I'm hoping, from what I understand about the convention center, I think it's much more suitable than what the horror stories that I've heard from the last couple of conventions. So I think that's people have a sort of a stain on their memory of this. So hopefully, go ahead.
Yes, I don't remember last year's very well. I know it was in Columbus. I feel like it might have been better than the one the year prior. But it's, the thing to remember, like a lot of people will get upset about the way where they're placed or whatever else in the convention. But you have to remember, and I've never been to Dalton. As far as I know, they've never done a state convention in Dalton. But you have to remember, someone's going to get the bad seats.
Right, exactly.
Someone is always going to end up in the bad seats. So it's one of those things that you could complain about and come up with theories about, but the point is that someone's always going to have a bad seat. And just because Rabun County might have 10 delegates or 8 delegates doesn't mean that they should get the bad seat, or just because it's just someone's always going to get the bad seat. Mm-hmm. So it's much more important how the conventions run.
I agree.
Than
that
where you are stuck.
That brings me to my next question. So hypothetically speaking, let's say that I'm looking for somebody with great integrity that knows their stuff, and I wanted to nominate Alex Johnson to chair this convention, right? Because I've seen Alex Johnson chair the GRA. I'm looking for just fair and balanced, straight down the line. How do they determine who chairs the convention?
So my understanding of the way it has worked historically and the way it works procedurally is you vote on having a convention chair, like who's going to chair the convention. Now, there is an argument to be made that the party chair, since they are the sitting chair of the party, they get that position. I do think there is a counter argument that based on the fact we are going through a reorganization cycle, that the delegates vote on who the...
Okay, looks like we're reconnecting now.
I don't know if people heard my answer.
Nope. Are you there?
I'm here.
Okay, good. So we dropped completely out. The internet literally killed. So I don't know if somebody killed our stream. We're back on. It's reconnecting. But I did not. As soon as I asked you the question, you started to explain it. Okay, we're back up now. So
all right.
Let's start over again, because I don't think it went out. So you said that normally during a reorganization cycle is when the body, the delegates pick, right?
Well, I was going to say there's two different ways of reading Robert's rules. One, like there's one section that talks about with an organized society, the person with the position chairs things. The other reading is that is a reorganization, or it's sort of from bottom up, which is what I think we're in. Something that type of system. I mean, you have the delegates vote on who chairs the convention. I mean, I think out of pure transparency and clarity, since this is debatably like bottom up reorganization, you would have a vote. Normally, the state party chair and the state GOP have someone in mind to chair the convention. Right. A year ago, the party chairman chaired the convention and frankly did the best job I had seen at a state GOP convention ever since I had been involved. I mean, he did the most fair job that I had seen.
Right.
But you ultimately, you have a vote on it, and then that person is elected, takes the majority vote. But as a practical matter, if you're trying to get over half of close to 2,000 delegates to vote for someone, there's a huge presumption towards whoever the state party chairman is wanting to chair a convention. So sure. if you have people in mind, the best place to go is to Chairman Josh McCoon, right, and petition him for who he thinks should chair the convention. Right. Although I believe he's planning on chairing it himself, but I am not positive on that. I don't talk to him all the time.
Right. I've heard the same thing you've heard. I heard he's a very fair chairman during convention. I have no issue because, like I said, I've never seen him chair a convention, but I would rather have, just me personally, somebody who's not actually running in the race to chair. That way it just keeps things all the more transparent to me. But
well, I have gotten the advice before when, because back when before the anti-establishment people, the GRA were winning so much around the state. When I had run for party chairman back in, I think, 13 or 15, there were talk about how to get a better convention chair at the time. And it was one of the pieces of advice I got, because I was running for state chair at the time. Someone told me, look, being convention chair, just about everyone is less popular at that after they do it than when they start. Right. So the advice was given to me, don't even think about trying to be a candidate for convention chair when I was running to be chair. Like right. It ends up potentially hurting you. I mean, I can see it potentially going both ways, but that's the advice I got. I think it might have been from Brandt, but don't quote me on that.
Right.
I think he may have said that once, like it does not look good if you're doing that.
Understood. All right. So we've established a hypothetical chair. And you say that until the credentials start, basically that's when we're going to have speakers and people that are going to be entertaining the crowd. And once the credentials start, that's when things take off, right?
Yeah, as soon as the convention body gets a credentials report, then voting and such can occur. Okay. And normally, historically, that credentials report comes out on Saturday, sometime in the morning. Has to be after 10 o'clock because that's the cutoff time. But that's when the final report comes out. Now, there's always potential talk of trying to do it where you can have an early report, then a later report. We did that at the GRA convention, but that is not how the GOP does it. They come out with an initial report Saturday morning historically, and then they elevate alternates to fill empty delegate slots, right, and then it's off to voting.
Now, explain to that too. A lot of people ask me this question about, because I don't know. Historically, what I've heard is that historically it's only cost about $40 to attend a convention, especially the last few years. This one is like, what, $150, right?
Something like that.
I don't know why it's more expensive. People are asking me. I don't have an answer for why it costs so much more, but it's the alternates, right? A lot of alternates are like, do I really need to pay for this, to be here? So what would you say to that?
So it depends what you're going for.
Right.
And frankly, if you've never been to a state convention before, go. I mean, just so you see it and know the way it works. And then you can decide in the future if you want to go to more of them, if you only just want to stick to the GRA, if you want to just stick to the county and district conventions. I mean, you need to see it at least once because that way you see what delegates do.
Right.
So it does seem like it's more pricey this year. Normally it was not as low as 40 or 50 though. I mean, maybe it was years ago, but I think it's been, I think it's been at least about 65, 70,
Right.
75 for at least since I think I've been involved.
Yeah, I don't have that direct quote. People are just, that's just
Yeah.
an assumption people are making. So
Yeah, and it has gone up some, and I don't, I do not know the inner workings of how much the convention venue costs. I mean, that's something that, maybe we could ask about at a state committee meeting. Maybe it's in the financial disclosure statements on how much well, actually, it will be in the financial disclosures how much the convention costs, because that's public record. It should be in the FEC report or the Georgia ethics site, the expenses they put on, and
right.
you can see if the convention makes money or not. I expect it will.
Sure.
But
ultimately it'd be worth it, right? I've been telling the alternates, I'm like, look, it's going to be worth it. Even if you don't get moved up, you're gonna be able to see how all this works. I remember when I first joined the GRA during the both Columbus conventions, right? The first one, when I first joined the GRA, it was the big one. It was the one where they were electing, just like this year. And man, the chat group that we were on, I'd never seen anything like it. Like real-time chats the whole day. And I'm sitting at work freaking out because I'm reading all this, So I'm super, just like this year. And man, the chat group that we were on, I'd never seen anything like it. Like sitting at work freaking out because I'm reading all this, I'm super excited to be,
I mean, and the thing is that up as an alternate to from your county show up, but thinking back, I don't think I think when I first started getting involved, maybe I was an alternate for 1 or 2 cycles, but I think I got moved up both times, and I think I've been a delegate ever since, and that's coming out of DeKalb County.
Right.
As a delegate, you get to vote, you get to participate in debate, you get to do all that, and you get to, I mean, depending on where you are, you get to, if you are a delegate, make sure to show up.
Mm-hmm.
If you're an alternate, you become a delegate. I mean, just realize that is a good thing, especially if you're an anti-establishment person. I mean,
Right.
if you're part of the paid political industry and you don't care about holding politicians accountable, I would prefer you stay home. But I'm also 99% sure nobody like that is watching that right now. And if you
Right.
are, it's probably because you just are hoping I say something to spread around and demonize the GRA. So I don't think you have much of an establishment audience here, Roy.
No, and that's a question I'm going to come back to the end before we do our comments, because I want to pick your brain about that. All right, so we're in, credentials are happening, you're hot and heavy into it. We don't have to go into the whole Robert's Rules things now. I will tell you, I've learned just the experience. I have done your classes around Christmas. Nothing compares you for being in the room while you're watching people debate this between microphone and microphone. And I wanted to be honest with you. I was in it for the long haul at the endorsement convention when it broke down into the rules, or I'm sorry, is it the charter, right? And
bylaws.
The bylaws. That's what it was. So I was in it. I was sitting there. I felt like a judge listening to all sides. It was, but anyway, the Roberts Rules is something. Of course, I think a lot of our GOP chairs are trying to get that out to people. It's really, really cool once you start getting. When you start getting familiar with it, right? You start understanding how it works and you see why. But basically, we're going to be in full swing. Robert's Rules. People are going to be motioning this and call to question. So that's going to be going on as we're amending the agenda, the rules. What else?
I mean, that is what will be going on. I mean, then that's going to be critical at the very beginning when you're debating the agenda, amendments to the agenda, the convention rules, amendments to the convention rules. I mean, if the Rules Committee does a good job, maybe you won't need to debate and change the convention rules. But
right.
what I always tell people, and it's a difference between the establishment and anti-establishment people or grassroots people. Grassroots people on those committees, and this is what we did with the GRA convention, and it's why the convention rules passed pretty much unanimously, is because if you're grassroots, your mindset is, I'm on this committee and I want to create rules that the people want, so they're all going to pass them. the establishment people see these committees as a way to, well, this is what I want. So if I put it in here, maybe it can be used to sort of convince people, or people will just pass it because it comes from us. It's whether or not you have the mindset of I'm above the delegates or I'm serving the delegates.
Right.
And that's, that's honestly, if I recall correctly, that's what happened a year or two ago. I think that we put out some convention rules from the Rules Committee. And I remember that myself, Brant Frost, some other anti-establishment people were saying, this is what we should put out. And, we were amending them in committee, and some of the establishment people were opposed some of the things we wanted to do. Then it got to the floor, and then all the delegates amended it actually the way we wanted to do it, but I think even more extreme. I think it was something about lowering quorum so that we could make sure to debate resolutions if, there was an effort to leave. And that was a good idea. That was a good thing to do. And the delegates got what they wanted, but it made us burn time in the convention hall because, the establishment people hadn't listened to us.
Gotcha.
So, you need to take part in those debates, though. Like, if you have an opinion or you're confused, go to a microphone and you need to take part in those debates, though. Like, if you have an opinion or you're confused, go to a microphone and speak up. Again, make a point of inquiry or point of information if you don't know what something's going to do. I know It's intimidating to do in front of, close to 2,000 people, but that's why you're there. That's why you were elected. Like, go up to a microphone and say something. I challenge everyone on here. If you're confused about something at some point, just go to a microphone, say point of information or point of inquiry, and ask. Just do it once when you're confused, just because that way you won't be intimidated anymore of going up to a microphone.
That's right.
Because that's why you're there, is to do that.
I think one good thing, yep, you're right. And one good thing I want to, that you brought up, and so people ask the question about quorum. Explain quorum and how it works in this scenario.
All right, so let's pretend there are 1,800 delegates. So quorum, naturally, from my recollection, is half.
Okay.
Meaning that if 1,800 people register, that means that as long as you have 900 people physically present, business can be conducted. The issue is that oftentimes, because they do elections first, you end up having a bunch of speakers, credentials comes out late, let's say 12 o'clock, 1 o'clock. You end up debating rules or the agenda for an hour or two, so it's already 2 or 3. People start thinking, oh, I plan to be home today. They end up voting, and this is at 3 o'clock, 3:30, voting ends 3:34, 4:30. Second they elect officers, everyone leaves. Well, not everyone, but over half the people.
Enough. Yeah.
Then you're sitting there with a resolution, or about the resolution, and I submitted a resolution to say Brad Raffensperger can never qualify as a Republican in Georgia.
Amen.
And I submitted another one that said John Burns can never qualify as a Republican in Georgia.
Amen.
An actual enforceable one, similar to the Jeff Duncan one and others.
That's right.
And the point is that those are proposed. So the establishment people just they may not know about it, or they intentionally do and want to leave. So they just get up and walk out. Then another one of them just goes and says, call for quorum. So then you go and you have to, if it's not clear, because at the GRA convention, to me, somebody called for quorum once when we clearly had like 2/3 of the people there, and we had our quorum at that meeting was set at 1/3. I knew there was quorum, so I didn't have to count everyone. But if it's debatable, then you count everyone.
Right.
What does counting everyone do? It takes time. So if it's already 5 o'clock and people are thinking, well, I have a dinner at 6 or I want to be home by 8, then even more people leave.
Right.
And then you never get to the resolutions, or you never get to rule changes. For example, I submitted a rule change to make it so that, delegate lists go to all candidates for state office unless the person that would be on the list opts out at the county convention, which to me is a no-brainer. It protects information, but it lets all the delegates be informed if they want to be by the people running for party office.
Right.
But those type of changes, you won't have them decided if everyone leaves. So you can, in the convention rules, lower quorum. You can make it so it's 1/3, or you can make it so quorum's at whatever the number of people currently present at a given time are. So the danger of something like that is that you could have like 10, if it's set at whatever the people there at the time are, that number, you could end up having 10% of the delegates deciding things. I think that a year ago, so the is that you could have like that number things. I think that the convention that because might have just left it at a majority, or maybe it was that we lowered it to a quarter or a third. I forget what we actually had out, but it was significantly lowered. The way the establishment got around it was they moved to adjourn, which took a majority vote, and that just ended the convention.
What?
So that's how they avoided it a year ago. Was motion to adjourn takes majority. They ended up passing that.
So you still couldn't get it.
Yeah, but the quorum was lowered. So
Okay.
the point is that if people realize not to adjourn and they lower the quorum, then we can get things done. But if quorum is not lowered, they can just get up and leave.
You're
I've
gonna
seen
have
that
trouble.
happen at some conventions. Yeah.
So how in your experience, how hard is it to get resolutions during a state convention like this?
I mean, we've had them debated before. So if the resolutions committee proposes them out of the committee and it just passes as part of the package from the resolutions committee, that's somewhat easy.
Okay.
If they don't report out the desired resolution, which, I mean, they're debatably in Robert's rules, it requires them to report out every resolution, but I've never seen that happen in any state convention. But you can move to discharge a resolution from committee, takes the majority vote. I've seen that done once before. I think it was the resolution censuring or going after Raffensperger or someone a number of years ago. But in the end, I think there was some convention rule that said that things get tabled if they get amended more than twice. And that was used to then get that resolution not considered by the state convention. So you have to look at the convention rules to make sure there's nothing like that in there. But sometimes there's lively debate on resolutions. It has happened before. It just
I want to add something to that on resolutions. So what you just basically said is that in a perfect world, all the resolutions that would be submitted would be included, but not all of them are accepted by the resolution. So some of these have to come from the floor, right?
And the way you would do it, you aren't technically making it from the floor if you submitted it to the resolutions committee. What you're doing is you're moving to discharge the resolution from the committee. Meaning that the committee didn't report it out, but you're saying, no, we're making you report it out by a majority vote. Right. If it's reported out, then you can debate reporting it out. And then two, after that passes, then the convention considers it essentially again, and you have debate on whether or not to adopt it or amend it or do something with it. And then it takes a majority vote to pass at a state GOP convention.
I see. Okay. A lot of politics there, you know what I mean? It's like a chess piece, chessboard.
Yeah, and you pretty much have to get out the information. Like, it's best to get out the information ahead of time, and it's best. I mean, you have to remember back in 2015, the GRA had like 5 or 6 members, and the obvious opportunity and importance of the network is that now we have over 1,000 people that could be talking about this, know about these things. I mean, we recommended a number of resolutions and rules changes at our state GRA convention. But the point is that, you have 1,800 voters there as a maximum. So you're going to need at least 901 or at least half of whoever's left to support something. So getting that out to people is an effort. Like, you have to be able to email people or text people or have volunteers to hand out copies of it. Like, you want people to know it's coming.
Right.
Or at least half of whoever's left. So is an to be able to email people out copies of it. And that's otherwise coordination state be able to do something unless you're printing out flyers and handing them out to people coming in and out of the convention hall, which I would recommend to people to try to organize and do. But I mean, there is an advantage to being part of an organization like the GRA in potentially working with others that are already like-minded.
Gotcha.
It's a lot easier to connect with people.
Okay. So basically, that's the resolution. That's like you said, unless amended in the agenda, that's probably one of the last things that you will do at the convention, right?
Yeah, resolutions and rules changes would probably be at the bottom of the proposed agenda. So unless you amend that order, they'll be at the bottom. And I'm not saying to amend the order because frankly, the amount of time it takes to debate amending the agenda could just take just as long as getting through the election. So you got to be strategic on some of this stuff.
Yeah, I got you. So I want to recommend to everybody out there, if you are a delegate, what we said in the beginning is bring a snack. And yes, you can go in and out of the room, but when it counts, do not leave. Stay at this convention. I messed up and thought when I participated in the endorsement convention, like, oh yeah, I was the same way. I said, this will be over with. You know, I provided the PA. At some point during that, around 1 o'clock or so, I realized, you know, I'm the one guy doing the PA, so it doesn't matter. It's going to happen. I couldn't leave, but I'm so glad that I had to stay because, I mean, when you think about where we're at, and this is going to lead into my question to you, but where we're at as a society and politics, the fact that this is so contentious. I mean, why would you not want to be in the room? It's like watching your favorite sport play out, and it's just me. I don't know. I loved it, so I'm gonna stay as long as needed to make sure that we get things done.
Yeah, and that's the way to do it. Because I mean, the GOP, and this is, you know, some people are gonna, you know, have a fit about this, but the point is that the GOP, the critical part of it is we are a political party. And historically, worldwide, political parties believe in certain principles, and we work to get people elected who have those principles. You'll hear establishment people say we exist to get Republicans elected, but what they are doing is they are rewording the point. The point is we exist to get people who share our principles elected, which happen to be encompassed by the word Republican, our Republican principles enacted. So the party, under the law, we get ballot access. So we as a party should only be letting people who share our principles on the ballot to be Republicans.
Right.
That is something the state executive committee has had the power on. They're the ones who they had to vote to put Donald Trump on the primary ballot this last cycle, and 4 years prior to that, and 4 years prior to that. Establishment people will say, well, if the delegates use that power, they wouldn't put Trump on there. Well, no, I mean, the state executive committee put Trump on there for the last 3 election cycles. It was like 30 people or less. I think it was 30 people or less, whatever size the state executive committee is, voting to put him on the ballot. Mm-hmm. So the party controls ballot access,
right,
for the Republican primary ballot. And that's something where you need to be thinking that, do you want Brad Raffensperger to be running as a Republican? Mm-hmm. Do you want John Burns, who treated Colton Moore so horribly, to be on the Republican primary ballot?
Right.
And who should be making that call? Should they just be able to lie, betray their voters, walk in, sign up, and use the money they get from lobbyists and companies to like just lie to people to win the primary? Or should they, if they aren't Republicans, should they have to go run as an independent? Mm-hmm. And for me, I believe that we need to maintain our brand. And I think that's something that that you can tell the difference between establishment people and grassroots people by that. Because most people who get involved in politics in the party look around and realize that, you know, that there need to be some changes. These politicians are not voting the way they say they are, or in accord with basic republicanism. They're betraying the general public. And if we don't do something to tell them you need to work with the party and actually stand for principles, I mean, they aren't going to. They're just going to keep following the money.
No, to me, it just looks like the big carousel of, hey, nobody, these people are waiting to be tapped on the shoulder saying, hey, you're up. I'm like, no, 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 no. We've got to start this in the ground up, because the reason we're in this position, the reason I am here talking to you tonight is because this carousel has been turning for way too long at the amusement park, right? Mm-hmm. All right. So I've got one final question for you. And then we're going to go to comments, because we got our comments back up. We may have lost the signal, but we're back up and running, and we're recording this. You have been in this a long time, Alex. You've been in this. A lot of people got into this. Their eyebrows, they went up during 2016. Well, in 2020 is when the floodgates open, right? I myself have ran from politics for a couple of decades while watching this unfold. But you've been in this. And you've been in it when Barack Obama was in there, before Clinton and Trump. Give me your bird's eye view on this whole thing. What have you seen, and how have you seen things change?
So what I've seen is sort of like a continuous cycle from the establishment people. And I recommend anyone listening and watching who cares about this to read the book, A Choice, Not an Echo. It goes into, it is written by Phyllis Schlafly. She was involved throughout the 20th century in Republican Party politics, and if you read that book, it's an easy read. It shows the tactics that have been used to disenfranchise and minimize and keep out basic Republican principles and grassroots Republicans for 100 years, and the tactics are still being used. It's how they try to divide us. They try to say that. They try to play the Robertson people against the Tea Party people versus the Ron Paul people versus the Trump people versus the Cruz people. And even in party races right now, they're trying to play the Josh McCoon grassroots people versus the Cross grassroots people and have them hate each other. They're trying to make it as inhospitable as possible for people who are not essentially political industry insiders, the people who make money off politics, the people who want to work for politicians, the ones who want to run for office. They're the ones who will just always push through the toxicity. The GRA is the counterbalance to those people, because we try to make it welcoming for people, even though our signal chats sometimes get a little bit hostile. I mean, ultimately, we try to welcome locally and statewide the good people. And what I have been witnessing is that the establishment is losing. They're losing because of so many people being involved, those floodgates opening. I mean, I will say that the people getting involved since it started, I think, even back with Trump in 2016 and 17, but it really did open up 2020, 2021. More people are getting involved. People are wanting to hold politicians accountable in massive numbers. And the candidates and the people who want to see that happen are going to be, the candidates will be successful, I think. And the people who want to see it happen will support those candidates. Mm-hmm. I mean, to me, it is sad to me to see some of the people who I have historically recognized as anti-establishment or grassroots not echoing this message, not echoing the message I am saying tonight. Because the point is that I believe, and I think it's shown by just talking to people around the state. I think you see it at the GRA convention. The people who are wanting accountability, the people are the people getting involved now. And that the people and the candidates, I mean, you see it by the fact Donald Trump won under a Drain the Swamp platform. That is what the people want. And the individuals who are saying oh, well, let me go and try to moderate my message to get along with, be it the governor, be it Raffensperger, be it some party officer, be it some other person that they think is more tied in than they are. I mean, they can't be moderate. They can't be filtered. I mean, they need to recognize that this is a public trust. People need to trust the Republican Party to enact Republican principles. And if you're involved in the Republican Party, be it a candidate or a party officer, you need to be in favor of accountability. You need to be outspoken. You need to show through your words and your actions that you are with the people. You are with the people who want accountability. You're with the public who wants accountability. If someone's telling you, oh no, like we got to act this way in order to win elections. Like, no, that is not what Donald Trump did. That is not what true leaders do. That is not what principled people do. Like, you stand for gun rights, even if it may not be popular. You stand for life, even if it may not be popular. You stand for what you believe in, even if it may not be popular, and then you win or lose based on what you believe. That's leadership. Right. That's bravery. I mean, I can't say I agree with every single thing that a lot of politicians do, even the ones I like, but I appreciate and respect them leading. And that's the point. I mean, we need leaders, not just people who are, trying to, follow the leader or keep their head down. I mean, we elect leaders, and that's what I want to see in this upcoming convention.
Wow, that was powerful, Alex. I mean, you nailed it on the head, and wow. I mean, you said it. All right. Well, what we're going to do is we're going to go through comments, and we're going to look for mostly questions, and it looks like we picked up some more. So thanks, everybody, for hanging out. I probably will upload the recorded version on social media, so we make sure we got it all. All right. Andy Soha says, hello, good to see you. Noreen Cantor, wow, good job last night, Noreen. She says, we need Alex for convention chair, so we will have a fair convention. That's where it starts.
And vote Noreen at the state convention. GRA endorsed and has been involved with us for a long time. She is absolutely awesome.
Absolutely. I tell you right now, I don't question her integrity. I don't think she can hide anything. All right, Josh Nez, it's good to see you. I went to school with Josh. Welcome to Small 10 Underground. So a lot of my high school friends are like, this guy's on here running his mouth, Linda Mink, it's always good to see you, Linda. Joe Pilat, hey, Joe, it's good to see you too from South Georgia. And he says, let's not forget about our friend John Burns. I hope you heard that, Joe. A lot of us, we've had so much support from all over the state. For Colton Moore, for the situation that happened. I'm going to tell you guys something. I used a lot of vacation time to be down there supporting my senator. I don't expect nothing in return, but I'm just saying that sometimes you got to get out of your comfort zone. You got to stand up for this stuff. But I just said thank all of the GOPs and the GRA, everybody out there that is making resolutions and really taking a stand on this. It's a beautiful thing. Let's see. Carol Streeter, good to see you. Charles Stoker says, Alex is fair. Wow. Charles Stoker thinks you're fair. So
I like Charles.
Charles, I like Charles too. I'm actually going to interview him over the summer, y'all. I'm going to set him down in a chair, and I may not even be in the room. I might just turn the camera on and just let him go. I don't know how we're going to do it, but we're going to let him talk at some point in the summer. All right. Joe says, too bad for the establishment. They're sick of people that have ruined Georgia and America. Amen. We are sick, or we wouldn't be here. Ron Hooper from MAGA, Georgia. Good to see you, Ron. Thank you for all you are doing over in Gainesville. He's just kicking butt over there.
Mm-hmm.
Charles says, elections are fixed at ballot box with Dominion machines that are controlled by the establishment. That, we're going to get into that tonight, but I can't understand why every other state's dumping Dominion, but Georgia's not. So, we'll leave that one there. Josh O'Brien, good to see you. Another one of my friends, old friends. Good to see you. Proud to see me. Thank you. I don't know. I'm not a talent or a professional, but I appreciate you, Josh. Joe says, we're going to keep growing the GRA no matter how much they want. Yeah. I think that's kind of when you know you're over the target, right?
Yep. The more whining by the establishment, the better we're doing.
I'm telling you, man. All right. Let's see. Charles says, Alex is leading a remake of Georgia politics to make it more fair, more transparent, more servant selected, and less lobbyist controlled. That's the only reason I got into this. That's the way it should be. I mean, let me just ask you real quick. Does it not kind of astound you? Like, I'm the type of person, Alex, I work with my hands for a living, whether it's welding or maintenance. And if something's broke, and this is my mindset, if something's broke, you fix it, If you can't fix it, you just throw it out and you install a new one, whatever you want to say. But, like, when you're dealing with politics, it's just not that simple. I don't have any other way to be like, if something is not right, we make it right. Why can't we do that in politics? Just too much money, too much control. I mean,
think about it this way, and this is going to be a really simple and maybe even stupid analogy, but imagine if you buy a house and you see that going out of your electrical meter, after it starts charging you, there's a cord going from your house to your neighbor's house.
mm-hmm.
To you, it's broken. To them, it's working perfectly. So the politicians that are selling us out and the lobbyists of those interests, to them, it's not broken.
Yep.
To us, who are the grassroots, the people who expect the Republican Party to stand for basic Republican principles that we've been sold on since we were born, it's broken.
Yep.
Very much broken. And that's why it's so important for people to use their time, talent, and treasure to be involved in grassroots efforts to actually, fix the broken electrical meter, because they don't think it's broken.
There you go. I read you loud and clear. And Ron says, MAGA Georgia supports the GRA. Absolutely. Happiness Jamie, good to see you tonight. Says, I love you, Alex, but you have yet to respond to any messages I've sent you via Facebook Messenger. So
I'm rarely on Facebook Messenger, so try my email or phone or
Okay. She says she's got some messages she needs you to read, and about knowing the basics of Robert's rules, and I totally agree. Happiness Jamie, I'm sharing Robert's rules with everybody I know. All of my close friends I know is going to be there because we're trying to ramp it up, but that's very, very important. You're absolutely correct.
And I'll check my messenger too to try to find her messages.
Okay. Yeah, he's not lying. I sent him something in Messenger as well, and he never did get it. So we got it tonight. Joe says he has a lot on his plate. You do have a lot on your plate, buddy. Absolutely. Okay. So, yeah, I know Happiness Jamie, I think everybody's feeling the urgency to get things right. This is going to be a huge state convention. Definitely for my first one, big going in. But yeah, I think we're all feeling the urgency. This is all the airwaves. I can't hardly do anything until after this is over. So, and he also says that Ron Hooper says you should be the convention chair. Look, folks, if we want Alex Johnson as the convention chair, we're going to have to get up there and we're going to have to stand up and we're going to have to make it happen. I can't think of anybody else that's probably more fair. And then after going through a lot like what we're going to be going through, that's all I ask is I want fairness, Elisa Adams says hello. Let's see. Let's go down here. Happiness Jamie asks, how do we get our delegates back in? And I'm not sure what she means by how do we get our delegates back in. Would you know that?
How to get our delegates
Happiness
back?
Jamie, if there's another part to that question, just ask it on the bottom and we'll see if we can answer that. So
that's I don't understand the wording.
And she also says bring a seat cushion. That's a great idea, actually. I don't know what kind of seats they're gonna have, but we all have the bleacher seat cushions. I think I'm gonna bring one. So let's see here. A lot of people are talking about convention chair. And let's see. No, she said, no, obviously we need to remove the rhinos. Absolutely. Let's see. Charles says, remember, you can always stop, interrupt everything except a vote by asking for a point of order or a point of information. You don't have to wait to be recognized or do it at a microphone. Just be loud if denied motion to challenge. We witnessed you, Charles, at the GRA endorsement convention.
Yeah, I mean, and I will say that he is. You do need to get recognition to make points, but I will say that in a small room it is easy to potentially say something without a microphone.
Right.
At a state convention, I mean, I have when that one convention chair was just violating all the rules. I mean, I don't think they could hear me even when I was roaring from a standing position near the stage. I mean, big rooms, they will sometimes eat your words and no one will hear you. So
Right.
you should try to be at a microphone at all times if you are thinking you need to say anything.
Got you. Let's see. The happiness, Jamie says, I have the world's #1 quick reference guide, Robert's Rules of Order, quick study. Highly recommend people get it, read it, bring it. Absolutely. Absolutely. I think I don't know where mine's at right now, but yeah. And cheat sheets too. I'm going to bring like 20 or 30 copies of cheat sheets just to give everybody, you know. Good to have you, Hardy. Strong, Bear Taylor. Good to see you, sir. Let's see here. Noreen. Okay. I'm looking for some questions. We got a lot of comments, guys. So, let's see. Oh, the publication cannot be reduced. Okay. Yeah, she's saying, Happiness Jamie saying she got the copy for $7 at Office Max or Staples. I know it's on Amazon, and it's probably pretty easy to pick up. It might even be at Walmart. I'm not sure.
And I'd recommend it just so you have full information. You should just get the whole book of the most recent Roberts. I mean, it's a little more expensive,
Right.
but they have a whole cheat sheet at the back of that too. And
Okay.
it's cross-referenced for every situation you may encounter. It's, maybe close to 21 or $25, but it's it'll last longer and,
Right.
and be more useful.
Absolutely. It's daunting at first, but once you go through it a few times, you really start seeing the rhythm. I like it. So
Yeah. And there is a cheat sheet at the back of that book. Like it's like a 500-page book, but there's like 3 pages of just, a cheat sheet essentially.
Okay, here's a question from Ron. It says, can the accountability rule be proposed at the convention?
Yes,
Okay.
I submitted it. And the accountability rule, just so people understand, now I'll be very transparent on the way it works. So accountability rule just limits the ability to keep people off the ballot, not for county parties. County parties can still do everything they currently can. It just makes it for state level officers, people who qualify with the state, that they can only be kept off the ballot by a vote of the state convention.
Okay.
Which means that the state committee couldn't do it. The executive committee couldn't do it. It would have to be the state convention, which to me just protects the power of the state convention and doesn't allow a small group, be it the state committee or state executive committee, to allow people or strike people from the ballot. But
Okay.
I mean, that's just, to me, it just seems like a better system to give the power to the delegates as opposed to a smaller group.
Gotcha. Okay.
And that has been proposed, and
Gotcha.
it's going to the rules committee.
Wonderful. Lake Lanier Lois, good to have you. She says, I heard it's the stadium seating or bleachers. Make sure you bring a small folding stadium, small flip-up cushion. So we may be sitting in stadium seating. So, okay. I'm hopefully there's supposed to be a walkthrough. I live close to Dalton. I'm not going to be able to attend the walkthrough, but I'm hoping that pictures will be available so everybody can kind of see it. We'll see if we can get that available. Richard Schroeder, good to see you this evening. He says, what is the safest way to vote at the convention? So
The safest way to vote.
I don't know if he means in general or.
So there is a balance for convention voting, and this is that's a great question.
Okay.
Because there is a balance at state conventions. If you've gone to enough of them, you know the way this works. So there's a balance between speed and accuracy when it comes to voting. Now, if you're talking about voting on candidates, on elections, I personally think that for that, you either want ballots, which I was voted on, like when I ran 13, 15, and 17, there were ballots every time for that for chairman. And then some of the down ticket races, some of the years they did standing votes, others they had ballots already.
Okay.
But the point of that is, like, you don't necessarily want delegates to be pressuring each other. That does take the pressure off. And it's just establishment people are oftentimes much more bullying and hostile. You can see that even currently, the bullies tend to be establishment. So you definitely you tend to want some sort of secure voting. The clickers that were used previously, I think those were accurate, although I'm not saying we need to use them. But for elections, you have counted standing votes or you have ballots. And then, people have proposed clickers. I think right now, people are generally opposed to clickers due to the fact of election integrity type things and saying that we shouldn't be using electronic voting machines.
Yeah,
I get it.
It's the point against the
principle.
principle.
The philosophical point. I will say for other votes, like procedural votes, be it on the convention rules, be it on resolutions, be it on quorum, that's something where the convention chairs, historically, some convention chairs have miscounted that either intentionally or accidentally, or just wanting to push through their agenda, or they just, just their perception on it. And then they won't do a counted vote in order to get to give confidence to the delegates. I mean, at the GRA convention, I ordered counted votes because I wanted to make sure that no one felt cheated on any vote.
Oh, yeah.
It may have taken a few more minutes, but frankly, I care more about people being happy and coming back, which is what the GOP should care about.
Right.
But I will say for that, if you have the option of clickers, that is good for that because you aren't relying on the count of the convention chair. And if every procedural vote takes sergeant at arms counting the crowd of 1,800 people,
yes,
that's going to take a long time, and that's going to make it so you never get to rules and resolutions. So you want something efficient for that, but you want something definitely counted so the convention chair can't just, pull something and only get what they want. So when you're asking the best way of voting, I would say that for procedural stuff, to get what they want. So when you're asking the best way of voting, I would say that for procedural stuff, you want something electronic when you're dealing with 1,800 people, because that way you can move quickly and you get the results. I'll say that for elections, I mean, I would prefer some sort of balloting method, or if you do a standing counted vote. I think those are good options. Although I personally have nothing super against clickers, but again, I try to be responsive to the people. My gut feeling, and as you can see from the GRA convention, people don't really like I don't think electronic options would be good for party elections this cycle anyway.
Yeah. And I agree with you. I mean, just for principle would be voting on paper ballots for the elected contested positions. Everything else seems to go very smoothly for standing votes or anything like that, And I think that, like I said, again, I just have to, how it's a no-brainer at this moment in time. It's just a no-brainer to me, but absolutely. So I hope that answered your question, Richard. All right, let's see. Let me go through. We're just getting tons of comments. All right. Let's see here. I'm going through Mega Roots. Noreen says now because the establishment has ruined the word grassroots. Let's see. And Happiness Jamie says they always wait for the important stuff because people do leave early. It's a strategy the rhinos use. Well, let's let the grassroots break that cycle this year. I'm bringing snacks. And I'm going to bring extras for people, and I'm bringing my seat cushion. And if it lasts till midnight, 1 o'clock, hey, I'm there for the long haul. You have my word. I want to be one of the last people walking out of this convention. So,
part of me wants everyone to stay until one significant thing gets accomplished with the resolutions. Maybe something like stay until Brad Raffensperger can't run as a Republican in the next cycle. Like something like that. So everyone knows, don't leave until you are sure that he won't get the run as a Republican.
And that's the body of the people. That's it. If you don't want Brad Raffensperger representing you as a Republican, stay at the convention and make sure that resolution passes. That's all you need to do.
Yeah, and all of a sudden, a lot of so-called Republican politicians are going to be caring a lot more about the resolutions of the state GOP, the county GOPs, and down the line. They're going to start, actually listening if somebody like that suddenly can't run for office as a Republican and has to run as an independent.
You are 100% right, man. That alone is worth it to me. So, Let's see here. Let's go. Says Noreen, she says only 800 tickets sold so far. I guess people will wait till the last minute. I have not purchased mine yet. I still need to. So we were having trouble up here registering last week. So, but hey, it's halfway there. So that's good. Let's see here. Yeah, Lisa was talking about last year how they adjourned, just like you're saying, no resolutions voted on. We want to fix that this year. We want resolutions. So, William Blake McMillan, good to see you this evening. He is registered. I'm getting there. Let's see, looking down. David Naha, good to see you. He says, I'll have a cooler in the back of my truck and would be welcome during recess to make a sandwich. There you go. That is the spirit, man. We just need to have like groups of people outside like making sandwiches. That would be awesome. Let's see.
Only for the anti-establishment people.
Yeah, that's right. If you're Rhino, you can't have any sandwiches. So. I'm telling you, David Naha is a person that he's special to me. This guy, man, got involved and just he asks for nothing. He just wants things to be right, and he wants to participate where he can, and he's always thinking outside, bigger than himself. It amazes me, and he is always ready to just stand and do things. And I just got to brag on David, man. I mean, that kind of thinking, like he's sitting there right now. People are talking about they're going no resolutions, and he's like, dude, I'm going to have sandwiches out of my truck. I'll make you one. That's what we need right there. That blesses me. So, Happiness Jamie says, Roy, do you watch C-SPAN for fun? Listen, I used to watch C-SPAN a lot. Okay. I do still watch the Forbes channel on my way home from work because I love listening to like Kennedy and stuff and the 5-minute blips. But, dude, I've been listening to NPR. I started on NPR when I was like about 7 years old. I didn't know what they were even talking about. But I grew up like Michael Savage, Rush Limbaugh, of course, Alex Jones. I was black-pilled for a long time. But, yeah, I've watched C-SPAN more than most people. So I'm not just, talking about down here, but yeah, I'm a political junkie. Let's see. All right. So it's good comments tonight, y'all, but we're already past our time. So I'm going to skip down. Let's see. Noreen says,
I want to see all these comments at some point.
I'm telling you, man, this is great. And man, we just got such good people out there that care. Noreen Cantor says, trust, transparency, integrity. Absolutely. And Happiness says, ask Charlie Kirkwise. Money supports Turning Point young Republicans like Cooper Whitmire who follow around the establishment, fake Republicans. And I'll say this publicly. I've had good relations every time I've met Turning Point. And I mean, I obviously don't want to get off into the discussion, but there's things about every organization that we can agree to disagree on. I have friends that work in the AFP, and then I have people that like tell me how horrible they are. And I the bottom line is that, and I want to stress this because we're in a contentious state convention, is that if you are an enemy, if I consider somebody like an enemy of the state, right? Not a physical enemy, but somebody who I've deemed as irredeemable, that's a hard list to get on my list, right? But I want to stress out there to everybody that even though there's a lot of divide, at the end of the day, we're going to pick ourselves up the next day no matter what happens. And no matter what happens at this convention, you're going to wake up the next day and you got to go to work, right? And you may have to continue to work with people who you couldn't stand, or you look, if you're willing to just dump somebody over a vote, right? Then you're not in it for the right reasons to begin with. And that, I just have to stress that, man. You vote your conscience, you do your homework, and at the end of the day, just like when Joe Biden became the resident, not the president, but the resident, right? We all lived through 2020. We've lived through the water main break in State Farm Arena. I was awake that night when it was happening. And we still woke up the next day to all the pink hats and Madonna at the White House. We've lived through this. This is not something we're going to have to move forward together, right? I just want to stress that. So, there's a lot of, like I said, I don't follow Charlie Kirk that much. I think he's a great guy, but there's issues everywhere, you know.
And when you mention all those different groups, not just Turning Point, but you mention other groups, you mentioned going to work the next day. I think one thing for people to remember and not get too bent out of shape about is the fact that, you know, when you say work the next day, remember that a lot of people who work for people work for these political organizations.
Right.
Like that is where they get that's where they get their livelihood. So just remember, like, yes, you may not like the fact that somebody's doing something or saying something, but just also remember that you're going to get what you pay for with paid political groups, paid political industry people.
That's true.
I mean, there's no need to hate them or dislike them for making money off politics, but it's just important to remember that when you're choosing between supporting the GRA endorsed people or somebody from a group that is getting paid, I mean, go with the people, go with like the grassroots, go with the GRA, and just remember that other groups may have and likely do have financial reasons behind various decisions.
Yeah, man, you're 100% right. And, you know, it's sad, but we have come so far, right? So maybe Turning Point, maybe they need to reevaluate, right? Maybe people need to reevaluate and understand. And maybe when the dust settles, people will, you know, but you're not wrong. I mean, that's just the way it is. I've always likened it, if you watch my show long enough, everybody knows a school bus is yellow, but everybody wants to fight over what shade of yellow it is, right? And so that being said, you know, sometimes we have to learn our lessons as we go through this. So, all right. I'm getting down to the bottom, Alex. I appreciate you hanging out this long.
Oh, I like hanging out with you. I appreciate you having me on and everyone else who's.
Oh, yeah. People loved it. Loved the first one. They're going to love this one. And Sharon Holland, thank you for being here again. I love it that you're here every week with us. Let's go down here. Let's see. Coweta, Linda Bing says Coweta will not share our Coweta delegate list with our delegates. Yeah, well, that's something I haven't even asked for. I didn't even know that they would share the delegate list with delegates. But it's politics as usual. You know, hey, I want everybody to know that I'm a delegate. So if you need to contact me, you pass the word around. I'm a delegate. I don't care who knows. I don't need a NDA or anything like that. You know, I don't care. So, wow. Doug DeWitt, good to have you. He asks, is a low turnout a concern given reservations to date? I wouldn't think so, just being the 21st of May. Would you, if you're expecting what do you think is the number that we're expecting? Is it 2,000, 1,800?
I think it's usually between about 16 and 1,800, if I recall correctly. Wait, no, let me be clear.
Okay.
That's delegates. Usually that's the number of voters. There are oftentimes guests there, vendors.
Right.
There's sometimes more alternates. I mean, I just remember that being the general range of what usually is there as delegates. I mean, it's, you know, I think the maximum might be a little bit higher if everybody in the state showed up, but a lot of people don't make it. I mean, I wouldn't be, you know, remember if you're going to Dalton from Camden
Lord.
County. Yeah, Camden County to Dalton, you're in exact opposite corners of the state.
You're right.
So,
Which why? I know the answer to this, but you would think, let's say, I've heard people say, Macon, Georgia. Macon, Georgia is the center of the state, right? Center of the state. We want equal representation. Why would we not do this every time in the center of the state and make everybody equally drive?
So this is a memory test for me, but I think the last time we did it in Macon was 2011.
Okay.
If I recall correctly. That's where I think that was Sue Everhart's reelection. It was in Macon. Somebody got a microphone at about 4:00 when we were adjourning saying that they were, you know, is allegedly just sort of implying the state GOP was trying to kill people who are diabetic by not having food. So that they actually got a mic and said that right before adjournment. So,
wow.
Yeah, but I mean, it rotates around the state.
Yeah.
That's the thing, is that it just rotates. Sometimes it's tied to cost, venue availability.
Right.
Dalton, this is the first time I think they've ever done it in Dalton.
That's true.
It's a very conservative area. I like going up to the Dalton area.
Oh, man, yeah.
My brother-in-law lives up there.
This is conservative fantasy land up here, man.
Yeah, super conservative. I mean, I'm from DeKalb County, and I like getting into deep ruby red areas.
Sure. Yeah, Pete. Somebody asked me, "Are you doing you live so close? Are you doing like a party?" And I'm like, "No, but you never know. Maybe we could get together in the studio. I don't know." Okay.
I second that motion.
So David Smith, good to see you, David. Wonderful Patriot. Great show, guys. Thank you. He loves the GRA. The Roberts Rules training has helped us out. Absolutely. If you ever get a chance to do Roberts Rules, do it. Richard Schroeder, paper please. Lisa Adams, accountability rules. Let's see here. A bunch of people are saying paper please, no standing vote, intimidation. Brad can kick rocks. Charles says, Alex, are they going to feed us lunch? I'm assuming that they're going to have lunch, but then on a convention, you said they'll probably have food available to buy.
So when you do your registration, there is an option for Saturday of purchasing a boxed lunch.
Okay.
Unless you're going to bring your own food,
okay.
I would buy that boxed lunch. Absolutely.
Gotcha. Okay. This is one last question, guys. Any thoughts on the Fulton County Election Board situation earlier today with Jason Frazier and Julie Adams? So before you answer, I got the tail end of this. I know I was like, how could these people be denied? But then it said it was a heavily Democrat board. So do you have any insight on that?
Hey, both are GRA members. I highly support them. Jason Frazier is the head of the GRA Election Integrity Committee / Task Force.
He's awesome.
Jason is absolutely awesome. It is a shame that
yes.
Fulton County is doing that. I remember a few years back, I don't know if they've changed it, but I think it is. I thought that the code or the Fulton ordinances made it so that they were essentially required to accept the appointments from the party, that they couldn't just reject them. But
right.
maybe they've changed the ordinance or done something to try to fight that. But I don't know what's going to happen in Fulton, but I am strongly supportive. And I think that anything people can do to help Jason and Julie is desired. I mean, the Fulton GOP is strongly behind them. The Fulton GOP now is finally not run by establishment hacks.
Right.
So it is good. I mean, the establishment people down there that are out are very, very mad that, people like Stephanie Andres being chair, people like Jason Frazier, Julie Allen are being put up. I mean, the establishment people hate it. I mean, they've been mad. They've been mad at me and the GRA ever since. Even though the irony is they think we did a lot more than we actually did. I mean, a lot of it was just the hard work of people like Stephanie Andres. But
right.
Again, the GRA is the boogeyman for everyone unhappy that the grassroots is rising.
Yeah, thank you, David, for that. I would love to try to set up a show with Jason and Julie. I've been wanting to talk to Jason for a long time, but yeah, that was a absolutely disgraceful, and we'll keep tabs on that. So we're not going to be quiet about it.
And I don't know if you already have his information, but I could try to connect you guys.
Absolutely, I'd love to get them on and share their story and just get it all over the state. So, all right, well, man, what a great show, and that's all the time that we have the questions for. Great comments, great people watching. Man, I just thank you, Alex. I always give my guests the last word, so you take it away.
You're welcome. Thanks for having me on. I hope to see all of you up in Dalton. Join the Georgia Republican Assembly. It's part of the National Federation of Republican Assemblies. You just go to www.georgiara.com. If you're from another state, just go to the National Federation website and we can get you hooked up there. But please join. You get a good magnetic name badge out of it, and you can look for others wearing that to sort of work together and coordinate to know who's likely on the good side of things. So
that's right, folks. Bottom line is your participation matters, and I hope to see and meet a lot of good people in Dalton this year, and we're going to try to have a blast. And I will be out that Friday night. I'm aiming to be at the Garland Favorito Integrity, and then there's a couple other things going on, so I'll be around. And I just live right down the road. So thank you so much, Alex. It's always a pleasure. And you guys, we're going to get out of here, and we'll see you next week.
See y'all later.
Legislature legalized unverifiable voting in 2000.
Like you said, to Trump, but they're getting beauty.
They said, go out there and rob these houses and bring back the bounty, and then that'll pay your way.
Because Republicans who get endorsement from Georgia carry that they mean anything.
You can't sit on the sidelines any longer. You must get involved in the game. This is your sign.